So last night, Joe Biden gave his first official State of the Union address. It ran just a little over 70 minutes, and it was terrible. I mean, really bad. Now, you would expect me to say that, right? But here is the thing. The man can't speak anymore. He's gone. He is completely gone. It was so bad that last night, The Daily Show, Trevor Noah's Daily Show, tweeted out a picture of your phone when it's completely low on charge, that graphic of the little red line at the bottom of the battery symbol, and then the plug that needs to be plugged in, because he was gone. He just wasn't there. And it turns out most of our leaders aren't there because they're all really old, and they're kind of decrepit, and they're kind of stupid. And these are the people who are leading us through a crisis. So the speech was discombobulated. It was completely disconnected. It had nothing to do with reality. It was an alternative universe speech. It was the kind of thing that Ron Klain probably wrote after reading about all of his great successes on Twitter.com from all the blue checks who make their living by sucking up to people like Ron Klain. I'm not sure many Americans felt heartened by Joe Biden's speech. What he had to say on Ukraine is probably the best part of his speech, but the rest of it was really pretty much just garbage. And again, the big kind of sights and sounds from last night were not flattering to our nation's leadership class. First of all, let me just say this when it comes to the State of the Union. I've always said I think the State of the Union is a monarchic holdover. It's a garbage institution. There's no reason why we should be doing it. I said this when Trump was president, when Obama was president, and now when Joe Biden is president. The spectacle of the President of the United States descending like a king into the legislature to the loud cheers and applause of the elected leadership of our legislative branch, which is supposed to be the primary branch in the United States. I always thought it was silly. Not only do I think it's silly, I think it's wildly counterproductive. If ever I were elected president, God forbid, the first thing that I would do during the State of the Union is I would just send a letter to Congress saying the State of the Union is read the news, go screw yourself. That would be my State of the Union address because it's so stupid. And by the way, that's what George Washington used to do. He used to actually just send a letter to Congress informing them on the State of the Union, and that was it. And now it's become this whole long speech we're supposed to pretend to care about. So let's start with Joe Biden not being coherent, because he is not. And if you are a leader on the world stage, let's say you're Vladimir Putin, or let's say you're Xi Jinping, let's say you're an opposing leader, somebody who looks at the United States and sees the possibility of gain, do you find this man intimidating? Do you think of this human being as somebody who is going to stand up to you? I mean, it doesn't even look like he can stand up at all, let alone stand up to you. Here's just a quick montage of some of Joe Biden's worst flubs last night. And listen, reading a teleprompter badly, it's not a crime. But blowing it as badly as Joe Biden did over and over and over last night, that certainly doesn't look good in the most watched speech that you will give all year long if you're president of the United States. Here was Joe Biden screwing it up multiple times last night.
Because you can't build a wall high enough to keep out a vaccine. The vaccine can stop the spread. It's time to see the what used to be called the Rust Belt become the home of a significant resurgence of manufacturing. Putin may circle Kyiv with tanks, but he'll never gain the hearts and souls of the Iranian people. Preventing Russia's central bank from defending the Russian ruble.
Yeah, man, it was going great last night. The Uranian slip right there, where he says that Vladimir Putin can never defeat the souls of the Iranians. Even Kamala Harris in the background, she softly muttered to herself, Ukrainian. When Kamala Harris is correcting you, and Kamala Harris is no great shakes, as we'll get to later on in the show, then you know that things are going wildly wrong. Meanwhile, who's the rest of our leadership class? Well, the Speaker of the House of Representatives is that decrepit squirrel sitting just behind Joe Biden. And there was a very odd moment when Joe Biden was talking about burn pits and U.S. soldiers and cancer, and she sort of gets up and does something no one knows what she's doing. Is it a dance? Is it some sort of signal? What exactly is Nancy Pelosi doing here?
And our troops in Iraq in Afghanistan have faced many dangers. One being stationed at bases breathing in toxic smoke from burn pits. Many of you have been there.
So we've got a few choices here. Cocaine-addled squirrel, knitting without knitting needles, wild excitement at burn pits, don't know what she's doing. Not sure what Nancy Pelosi thinks she's doing here. So she's the other great leader. She's third in line to the presidency. So, I mean, on that dais, you have the President of the United States, who is no longer with us. You have Kamala Harris, who's the worst politician in modern history. And you have Nancy Pelosi, who randomly gets up at the sound of burn pits and starts going like this. So things are going. And then out in the audience, you have the Senate Majority Leader, Chuck Schumer, who had an awkward moment where Joe Biden was talking about something and people start booing. And Chuck Schumer thinks that he's supposed to get up and clap. And so we end up with this hilarious hokey pokey.
The American Rescue Plan. The American Rescue Plan helped working people and left no one behind. Folks.
False start, 5-yard penalty, first down. It's so good. Gets up, he gets down. He gets up, he gets down. Man, he's doing the Harlem Shuffle over there, is Chuck Schumer. So this is our nation's leadership class. So things were just, they were primed, man. This is the best and brightest America has to offer. If you think we're not a nation in decay, just look at the fact that everybody who runs this country has an IQ of 80 or is 80 or both. That is who runs this country now. We're in a battle for the culture and for our values. Like and subscribe to help keep our videos on the front line of the fight and top of your feed.